The iPhone X was released only in November with a beautiful bezel-less design, amazing camera, and mind-blowing specs, but it also introduced a crazy $1,000 price tag. Hey, how's it going? I'm Josh from 91 Tech, and today we're going to be taking another look at my iPhone X that I got over 3 months ago now. Was it really worth buying? This is a video I really struggled with writing and making because I was and still am very torn on that very question. I love this phone, I enjoy using this phone, but was it really worth close to $1,500 Canadian with taxes for me? It's a lot of money and I'm not exactly some rich YouTuber who can spend his money willy-nilly, so it's really tough for me to give an answer. But I'm going to try today focusing less on the technical aspects of the iPhone X and more on the experience and what it's been like living with it over the last 3 months. If you're looking to maybe buy an iPhone X or you're just curious as to what it's like having one, hopefully this will help you out. Firstly, the biggest aspect of the iPhone X that pops out when anybody uses it is the display. It's huge, but it still has the same footprint, well, pretty close to the same footprint as my old iPhone 6s. For me, it's actually super comfortable to hold, and it's just small enough that I can use one hand for the most part. The control center placement is on the top right corner, which a lot of people, including myself, weren't happy about, but I honestly never even think about it now, so for me it isn't an issue. Having that extra vertical space is absolutely amazing. It's so helpful in certain apps like say Instagram or any news app or something like that. Having that extra space really adds a lot. Alright, so right now let's just get the notch out of the way. It's there. People talked about it a lot when the iPhone X was released, but you may have noticed people don't really talk about it anymore. And there's a reason. It's not bad, actually. It's really not that intrusive, and I like it in a lot of ways. Those ears can hold useful information like the time, the battery, whatever. And it's for that reason that I actually like the notch. If they didn't have the notch there, the whole top would just be covered in bezel. And honestly, you may as well just stick some content up there. Of course, that's just my opinion on it. After using it for 3 months, you don't even notice it. Heck, after using it for 2 weeks, you don't even notice it. The only time it can be a little bit intrusive is when you're watching video in full screen. It does cut off some of your content, which can be a little annoying, but I've learned to live with it. I usually forget about it once I just watch a little bit of it. Whether or not you like that or hate it, it's going to vary user to user, and for me, it's not a big deal. Kind of a nitpick. Speaking of watching content, the speakers are actually really good on the iPhone X. I was surprised how loud they get, and I really like them. I can actually use this phone without earbuds, which I don't think I can say about any of the other phones I've had in the past. Gestures are a huge deal with the iPhone X. No home button anymore. They're awesome, they're fluid, and they feel like it's the future. I much prefer it over home button now that I'm used to it, and when I use an old iPhone, I'll usually be swiping up the control center a lot because I'm so used to just swiping up to go home. So a lot of people I find complain about the gesture system, saying it's stupid or something like that. A lot of those people haven't actually used it very much. Once you get used to it, it's not bad at all. Multitasking for me is fine. Some people complain about having to hold down the page that you want to delete in your multitasker. I actually really like this because in the past I used to accidentally close apps all the time, and now it's much harder to do, which is really nice. The design in general of the iPhone X is really awesome, from the UI to the phone itself. The all-glass design with the stainless steel bands, it's a huge throwback to the iPhone 4 era, and I absolutely love it. This is the most premium feeling phone I think that there is. However, there is a big drawback with this, and that's the fact that, well, you need to use a case. So I have to use a case with this thing constantly, which isn't a huge deal. I use a pretty thin case on it, enough to hopefully protect it from a pretty minor fall. And I also put a glass screen protector on the front and back, so I'm pretty covered if I do end up dropping this thing, which I think I've dropped it once, and I cracked the screen protector, but not the phone itself. It's very fragile, would use a case. If you're not a huge fan of that, don't go for the iPhone 8 either. iPhone 7 is probably the last iPhone I would not use a case with, because aluminum's pretty durable, but even then, like, I used a case with my iPhone 6s, so it isn't a huge deal for me to use a case with the X. The only problem is the X is kind of already a little bit chunky compared to most iPhones from this era, so with a case on, it gets even thicker and a little bit heavier, but that said, it's not a big deal. Wireless charging is way better than I ever thought it would be. It's so awesome. Having it on your nightstand and just throwing your phone on there when you want to go to bed is great. Only thing is, make sure it is actually charging when you put it onto the charger. It's happened to me, I think, only once where I actually kind of missed and I didn't like listen for the sound, you know, the little ding that happens when you start charging. And so when I woke up, my phone was at like 40% or whatever because it wasn't on the charger. So that's the only thing. Other than that, it's great. Much more convenient than having to plug in a cord all the time. There is no headphone jack on the iPhone X. 10. Now, I thought this would be a big deal for me when I originally got it, and at first it kind of was. It kind of sucks not using my, pretty decent earbuds that I have. But I lived, I used the dongle and the included lightning headphones for a while, and it wasn't great. So I went out and picked up a pair of AirPods. Congratulations, Apple, you win. And the AirPods are amazing. Even if you don't have an iPhone 10 or a phone without a headphone jack, I would still consider getting the AirPods, by the way. Side note, they're so awesome and so convenient, and I love them. But that said, because I have those, not having a headphone jack is not a big deal anymore. I do still use the dongle for my car. I have it plugged in constantly on my aux cord because my car doesn't have Bluetooth. But other than that, there isn't really any scenario that not having a headphone jack is too much of a big deal. The camera on the iPhone 10 is amazing. Absolutely stunning. I can get some beautiful shots with this thing. It is winter months right now, and the climate here kind of sucks, so it's just been a lot of rain mostly throughout the winter. So I haven't got a ton of nice shots since I got the iPhone 10, but as spring rolls in and summer comes, I'll probably get some really nice looking shots, so I'm really looking forward to that. I don't use portrait mode as much as I thought I would, not gonna lie. I was very excited about when I got it, but I haven't used it very much. But the telephoto lens is super handy. Having that 2x zoom is awesome. Selfie portrait mode sucks. It still is pretty bad. It's probably gonna be fixed with iOS 12, I hope anyway, so I'm not gonna touch on that. With the glasses, it's just impossible to get it to work, so I don't even try. Another great thing about the iPhone 10 is the fact that it is super fast. With that A11 chipset and 3 gigs of RAM, it never ever slows down. That might seem like an exaggeration, but really, I can't think of one moment where I've had lag. It's always fast. This phone is just crazy when it comes to hardware. There's nothing on the Android side that even comes close to touching it, and that'll probably stay the case for at least another year. Face ID is very good. It's probably better than you think it is. A lot of people were really skeptical with Face ID, but again, it's another thing you don't hear about a lot anymore because people are used to it and they like it. It's honestly, for me, maybe not better than Touch ID, but not any worse either. I don't think about it ever. I barely ever have an issue. Sometimes when I'm in bed just waking up, or I'm under the covers or something like that, and something's blocking my face, then there can be a problem, but otherwise it's perfectly fine and I have no issues. Emojis are Emojis. I barely ever use them, but they're still kind of cool to have. Whenever I'm around kids or whatever, I'll show it to them because I think it's awesome. So kind of cool. Apple's adding more with 11.3, which is neat, but not a big deal there. So those are all the big aspects of the iPhone 10 I can think of at the moment. I might have missed something, but those are the ones that come to mind when I think about what it's like living with the iPhone 10. Living with the iPhone 10 is amazing. I did a video back when I first got it about living with the iPhone 10, and you could tell I was very excited about it. I really loved it, and honestly, my opinion hasn't really changed much since then. I've gotten used to it, and that's really the only difference. And the fact that the novelty has worn off and I still absolutely love it should speak volumes. This is a really good phone. It's the best experience I've ever had with a smartphone, but it should be. It was $1,500 Canadian with tax for me. This iPhone is literally worth half of my car. I am not joking. For me, I would say the iPhone 10 was worth buying. YouTube is what I do now. This is my part-time job. I don't have time for a full-time job, so this works out perfectly. It's not just a hobby anymore. This is what I do, not only because I find it fun, but because it's a legitimate business for me now. I'm getting pretty good amounts of views, and having the iPhone 10 is kind of an investment for me. But with that said, for 99% of the population, the iPhone 10 is not going to be worth buying. It's overkill. It's overkill for most people. You don't need a phone this good. This phone is almost too good. $1,000 for a phone is insane, and you should be getting the best of the best for $1,000. And you are. But that doesn't mean it's better value than a phone at, say, $500 like the OnePlus 5T. I would always recommend going for the OnePlus 5T over the iPhone 10. Not because I think it's a better phone, because it isn't. That's a fact. People who say the OnePlus 5T is a better phone than the iPhone 10 is just objectively wrong. You can make a case for, say, the Note 8 over the iPhone 10 or the Pixel 2 XL over the iPhone 10, but you can't for the OnePlus 5T. There's just no competition. But you can say that the OnePlus 5T is better value, because it is. You can buy two OnePlus 5Ts for the price of one iPhone 10, and the iPhone 10 is definitely not 2 times better better than the OnePlus 5T. It comes down to a few things. If you want the best of the best when it comes to a phone and you're an Apple fan, the iPhone 10 is the way to go. You're gonna absolutely love it. But for most people, I would go for the iPhone 8 or 8 Plus. It's quite a bit cheaper and it's more practical. It's gonna last just as long as the iPhone 10 is, and even though it retains a relatively old design, it's a design that works. There's a reason Apple keeps using it. I cannot recommend the iPhone 10 for most people. If that's not the answer you wanted, I'm really sorry, I just can't. But I can say for me, it was worth buying. And whether or not it's gonna be worth it for you is gonna vary person to person. If you're somebody with quite a bit of money, sure, why not? If you're not, just don't buy the iPhone 10. There's no need for it. So yeah, I love this phone. It was worth it for me, I think, all things said and done, but it probably isn't for most people. That's it for this video, guys. This one took me a while to make, so I hope you liked it. Hit that like button if this helped you out or you found it interesting, and comment your thoughts down below about what you think with the iPhone 10. Do you still think it's super overpriced? Do you think, well, it's actually kind of worth the money? Let me know what you think down below. Hit that subscribe button if you want to see more content just like this. Follow me on social media because that would be really cool of you to do, and I love posting tech stuff on both Twitter and Instagram. Direct links down below. And with that all being said, and without further ado, I'm Josh from 91 Tech, and I will see you all next time.